Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the world's best cricket club. Thank you very much, all of you, for supporting us through these dark months. And we're delighted to say today our guest is a man who's on your screen probably about a week ago, Reece Topley, bowling excellently in the Caribbean in the T20 series, and also has a well-known dad who played for Essex at my era, actually. In fact, I once hit him for 6, and then he did the dirty on me and hit me for an even bigger 6, so I couldn't even do any boasting. Anyway, this is all in aid of the Professional Cricketers Trust, as you all know, and we really welcome all donations. Thank you very much for your support. It's Reece Topley today, everybody. So great to have you on, Reece. Thank you very much for joining. Where are you actually, by the way? Obviously, you've had a few travels this winter, but where are you now?
I'm actually at home in London, so it's nice to be home. I've been on the road for I think it was since September the 29th or around about then, and it's nice to have 2 feet on home soil for a while. So
yeah. So where have you? What countries have you? Give us your bucket list of countries you've been through then.
So if I work through it in chronological order, I was told I wasn't in the World Cup squad late September, and I was on an end of season holiday with some of the Surrey players to Ibiza. And then 3 days into that, I had a call from Chris Silverwood saying there's been an injury and I need to make a U-turn. So
not the call you want when you're in Ibiza, particularly, but still, you know.
And it was far too early in the morning as well. So no, I got a flight straight to London, picked up my kit at the Oval, and then flew out the next day. And then I landed in Abu Dhabi, and I had to do 6 days isolation there before I could join up with the rest of the squad in the bubble. And then I went from the semi-final defeat to New Zealand in the World Cup. I went to Melbourne straight there to join up with the Melbourne Renegades. I was supposed to play in the T10 for the Northern Warriors, but I pulled out of that because I just felt I'd rather go into the Big Bash fresh. It's obviously quite a good tournament, and it's viewed by a lot of people. It's obviously very competitive, but it's viewed as a good showcase for other things, especially when the T20 squad, obviously there was white ball to West Indies, and then I finished up in Melbourne. I was asked by Ashley Giles to fly home a bit early, just because COVID was rife really in London and in Melbourne. So I flew home and isolated at my house for a week, and then travelled to Barbados with the T20 side for 5 T20s out there, and I came home a week ago.
Yeah, right. Okay. Must be quite hard actually to sort of plan your kit. You know, I guess you get kit given to you when you're there, but I mean, sort of certain things like boot. Well, I guess all your kit is sort of given to you when you arrive. So maybe you just have to worry about boots and bat and pads. Do you really?
Nowadays it's pretty good. Like when I turned up to play for Melbourne, they had helmet, they had black pads in the right, or the right Pantone or whatever it is, because they can be very picky about that.
So actually, all you need is a bat and a bat and your boots, almost. Then really,
and then the colours of the team just change. You're just the way that you're decorated. It looks different, but it's pretty easy, and everyone finds. Well, bubbles it's slightly different, but Melbourne it was pretty much like normal life, which is it's much better to play cricket, out of these COVID bubbles.
So we've been hearing really. Simon Mann's here. Simon, you've been travelling as well. So you're in Bristol. You're in your favourite. You're in your favourite city.
Well, I got back from Australia a couple of weeks ago, and been to Manchester, been to Bristol. London is home, but in Bristol, just seeing some relatives for a few days. What's it like? This whole idea of going from one team to another. I mean, are you able to sort of have that team loyalty? How easy is it to sort of to generate it quickly when you?
Me and the Renegades had actually, we'd crossed in our past really, because my best friend was their manager in, I can't remember what year, maybe 2018, and I used to just go out there and muck around, and basically was a net bowler for cricket Victoria, so I knew a lot of the players from that side of things. And then obviously it's rekindling old friendships, and they get stronger as you cross the boundary and that you actually get the chance to play with each other. But I think it is the biggest difference is changing teams, but also you have Australia. It's pretty easy because it's very you're in the Western world still, but then when you go to Asia, it's very different. So then you have to immerse yourself in a different way.
Did you play a home game? I was sort of concentrating on the Ashes, but I did see some of the Big Bash. Did you play a home game at the Dockland Stadium under the roof? What?
I did. And
what's that like?
I'd probably have to say it's my favourite place that I've played cricket, purely because it is that unique aspect of, I can't think of another place that you play cricket indoors on grass. It is really incredible. It's a huge roof. It's almost has a feel like a dome, and yeah, I think it's just one of the quirks that I love playing for the Renegades, that some of our games were indoors.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a few games there, and I mean, one of the great things, of course, is you're not going to have any weather problems, which you
absolutely
sometimes have in Melbourne. Did anyone hit the roof? I mean, I think I did see one game in the Big Bash where someone did hit the roof.
Finchy got very close. He got probably like a few feet away from it, but that was it. It doesn't happen as often as you'd imagine, to be fair, and the roof is a fair distance away. But another thing about that stadium is so unique is that it is an AFL stadium first. So the boundaries are they have their own sort of uniqueness to that stadium of being so small, square, but then incredibly long, straight. Whereas the MCG, it's almost like it still looks like a cricket ground. So yeah, it was, you try and use it as your home advantage, but you can't always.
Yeah. Sam O'Brien on the chat here says Finch did hit the roof once. It was a few years ago, and it was a dead ball. I think I remember watching it at the times and seeing.
No, I was at an Invitation 11 game in the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff, and Shahid Afridi hit the roof and was awarded a 12 for getting one on the roof. In fact, it went straight up, so it would have been out in a normal stadium. But I tell you, that was a big shot. What's it like for you? You set out in your career, your dad played obviously a lot of first class cricket for Essex, and you set out probably to do the same. And now you've had the whole winter bowling 4 over spells, 4 overs in an innings, and 2 over spells. I mean, does it feel odd, kind of not really getting into a spell, or have you got so used to it that it doesn't matter anymore?
I think spells have gone from bowling in the sense that you can bowl a good spell or whatever, but then it's with the introduction of like data and that and analytics and that side of things. I think each ball is a much more isolated event. You're literally in a T20. I think so much. Well, obviously money for some franchises. So much in terms of on one ball, and the amount of games that go down to the final over. So I think that it really is isolated as 120 individual events that have so much thought behind each one. That I think.
So are you thinking when you're going back? I mean, can you compare, bowling an over for Surrey in a first-class game, say, which you did in September, didn't you? Compare that mindset and the thinking to bowling for England in those last T20s. So, are you literally, is the difference that in bowling for Surrey, you're sort of thinking about an over and what I'm going to do with this over, whereas in T20 for England, you're thinking about each individual ball.
Yeah, I think with a spell, you especially in red ball cricket, you almost go in with the view that I'm going to try and nick him off, just because it's the slips are in play, and you bowl a channel, and it's almost natural variation if it's fourth or fifth stump or whatever. But when it comes to T20, it's almost like, right, his strength is here, and you almost know where he's trying to hit you. The stage of the game dictates if he's going to swing as hard as he can, or if he looks for a single if it's the fifth ball or anything like that. So I just think that there's more. You just run in and bowl and you hit an area, and then you might go, well, he's settled now, I'm going to try a bouncer. But then in a T20, you're thinking, well, he's looking to target that boundary. If I bowl a bounce, especially in the Caribbean, there was a short leg side boundary, and it made bounces from one end not ideal because there was a huge wind carrying them to the square leg boundary, and it wasn't that far. I just think you almost try and second guess the batsman. They move. The batsmen move an incredible amount these days. I think that's something that's changed, and the wide lines, do they move? And that's fluid in itself with just the umpire's opinion on that law. So you almost have, right, well, I'm going to go here. If he moves, I'm going to go here. And then you would have also had information from Morgs or, any captain or any analyst or whatever, he strikes this much at balls pitched in this area. But also, people have an identity. We've watched them play so many times in, Chris Gale has an identity of, he'll hit you down the ground. So I suppose it's just more damage limitation sometimes in T20 nowadays, rather than county championship. I still feel it's 4-day cricket is still pretty ball dominant, and you can almost work someone over, so to speak. Whereas in T20, it's much more harder to.
It's the other way around. Just quickly, say those last two games, I think you were 4 overs for 18 one game, and then 4 overs for 43 the next game. So brilliant figures one game, and then quite expensive the next game. Do you look back at that and say, actually, I didn't do anything different, or do you look back at that and go, it's the way it goes, or do you look back at that and go, actually, I missed my ball here, or I didn't read the batsman's intentions or something?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that it can all fall for you one day, and then I remember that last game I bowled 4 overs, 0-43, but the 2 games before I wasn't very expensive. So then I came off on the third game, thinking, well, I'm due to go for some.
Okay, so you almost expected it.
Well, the 2 games before that, in the Big Bash as well, I went, I think, for 18 and.
So you think it's almost
20.
time? It's your time, kind of thing.
I mean, yeah, I had
your
5
numbers
games
up.
Five games where I think in a row where I went for under 30, and then especially bowling at the death.
Yeah,
it's almost like it's gonna come, but you just believe in your processes. You believe in everything before you cross the line, because if you're panicking about it at the end of your mark, it's probably far too late. But you can have bad days, and I think that's the nature of bowling at the start with 2 men out, and bowling at the end where wickets are, no one has a price on their wicket and they're looking to hit you around. So you do look back and you do analyse it, but I don't think you can be too deep, because with so many variables in cricket, I could say those 2 edges to the boundary for 4, and if they don't take the outside edge, suddenly it's 35. But it wasn't. So it's very matter of a fact. I think that's the thing about cricket. It's just got so many variables. You could always sit here and say what if about so many things, but I think you just got to almost just believe in the things that before you get to the top of your mark in the game, you do your research, you do your drills, you practice all the balls that you have in your armory so that you can rely on them when called upon under pressure. If I'm stood at the back of my mark and say they need 10 off the last over, and I don't believe that I can hit a Yorker, it's probably because I haven't prepared my Yorker before the game enough.
Okay. Here's a question, Reece. If after each T20 international, say, or whatever, do you analyze your 4 overs, your 24 balls, and say, actually, I got 20 of them in pretty much the place I wanted to, or tonight I got 11 pretty much in the place I wanted to? I mean, do you break it down like that with the analysts? Do you look, we're working with the analysts afterwards? Do you say, well, how many of those balls were fine, were acceptable, or is that too precise?
It's tricky because you bowl the ball where you want to bowl it. So you could nail a Yorker, and it ends up going to the boundary, and then you miss 2 full, and it's a knee-high full toss that the batsman hits straight up in the air. I think you look at your numbers at the end of the game and you say, right, 2 for 24. For me, I should get out a top order player and maybe pick up one at the death. And then you can just sort of look at your figures and say, okay. But then when you go for a lot of runs, I think it's important to see where you went and where the batsman tried to target you, or possibly when you went for a boundary, what happened the next ball. Because some batsmen, when you go for a boundary, I know that they look at what you go to next. If I get hit for a 6, I think batsmen do research on what's the ball that I bowl next when I get hit for a 6 that's my banker, so that they almost try and second guess that. So then they really try and capitalise.
What is the ball you go to after a 6 then?
Don't really know. I don't really think about it too.
I suppose it depends who it is. I suppose it depends on the batsman a bit.
I don't know. I'd always back my Yorker. I think if you're not getting your Yorkers, at least if you're getting your Yorkers and you've got something that when you're muddled and when it's very heated out in the middle, that you've got something you can always go back to, because it's very hard. You can hit a Yorker, but I think the odds are favoured in the bowlers, favoured towards the bowler, just because if you nail it, it's a matter of your skill. If you nail your Yorker, it's very hard to get hit for 4 or 6. If I miss, you can get the back of your mark and you can say, well, it went for a boundary because I didn't nail my skill.
Are you going to be, while we're on this sort of subject, T20, what I want to know is, what are you going to be doing next weekend when it's the IPL mega auction and you're in it for 75 lakhs, which is, for those who don't compute Indian currency, it's about $100,000. I think it's about 65,000 quid or something. You're in it as a sort of lowish level auction item, as it were. I mean, how does it feel being in an auction, and what are you going to be doing? Are you going to be sort of hanging on every word and sort of kind of excited, or what? I mean, what's going to happen?
Well, firstly, I don't actually know when it is.
It's this weekend, the 12th and 13th of February.
What? I'll be on a train from Milan to Rome for the Six Nations.
Right. Okay.
I don't like to watch them. If it goes well, you'll hear one way or another. If it goes badly, you probably won't. So you can just keep going with life as it was. That's the way I've done it before. I've got when I've been picked up by Islamabad, I haven't watched it. I've had people just get in touch, and wish me well. But no, I'm not purposefully, keeping myself occupied, but going to Rome to watch the Six Nations was an opportunity that, especially as I've got back recently and I've got the next few weeks off, I thought I'd make the most of that opportunity.
How much do you want to play in the IPL? I mean, is it a big goal, or is it just one of those? If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
I used to be of the mindset that if it happens, it happens, and if it didn't, I wouldn't be so bothered. But last year, I think it was the real sort of moment where I was like, right, I have to be in it. I really want to. I've had so many opportunities to go as a replacement player, but I haven't been allowed to go by my county side. And that's that there's some rule written, because counties have been left quite out of favour in the past after the auction, where people pull out and then they raid county cricket for replacement players, or people that haven't been picked up in the auction, and that left the counties, without their starting lineup bowlers or batters. So then there was something that was signed that if you're not picked up in the auction, you can't go as a replacement player if you're on a county contract. And it's happened to me a few times now. It happened twice last year, at the start, and then when it was restarted. And then it's got to the point where, well, what's the point of playing if I'm never going to be able to go and test myself against the best and play in the best tournament? What's the point of doing all the hard work and coming back from injuries, etc., if I'm never going to be allowed to go and play in the world's premier tournament? So now I'm of the mindset where it's something I really want to do, because for 12 years of my career I haven't been able to.
Yeah, I can imagine, actually. I mean, it's fantastic. Have you watched it? I mean, I know you watch it on telly, but have you ever
I've played out in India. I've played some ODIs and T20s out in India, and it is unbelievable. This is, in a way, the soul of cricket is India, and it is out there. They have such a strong hold on cricket financially, and the cricketing world needs India, and it is just a different level out there. I think it would be just an incredible experience. Yeah.
Well, good luck with it. I mean, it can make or break careers, can't it? In terms of finances and your exposure in that forum. I think it's time, Jos, for members' questions. Do we just want to put up? Do we want to put up the England team, by the way? We can do if you want. Yeah.
Well, let's just as one more sort of little segment. Let's just put up the team that England have just announced. No Anderson or Broad. Are you surprised about that, Reece?
Yeah, it's surprising. However, with those two, I feel like you know what you're going to get. It's not the end. If anyone thinks it's that their career's over, I think they're very wrong. I think they want to know who's basically going to be competing to play with them, in my opinion. Obviously, probably Ollie Robinson and Mark Wood have got the shirts at the minute, so to be almost part of that quartet. But I think that they want to know who their guys are for the summer and going forward. And obviously it's bad if I don't know what their situations are. They obviously, I'd assume they'd want to play, but it's not the end for those two. I don't think it's just who's going to be bowling with them going forward.
And tell us a little bit about Alex Lees and Matthew Fisher.
Alex Lees is a very organised player. He was I played against him when he was at Yorkshire, and he always looked very good. But I haven't played against him since he's moved to Durham. And Matt Fisher, I'll be honest, I don't know much.
Okay. Simon, do you know much about Matthew Fisher?
Not really. No, I don't think I've knowingly seen him bowl.
Yeah.
Not live anyway. He was with the Lions, wasn't he, in Australia?
Yeah.
So
they only played one game.
Yeah. Well, they only played one game, and so was Alex Leeds. He was out there as well. So I mean, they've left out 8 of the people who were involved in the Ashes. I mean, it's a big cull. I mean, Andrew Strauss saying today, his quotes from Andrew Strauss saying, it's up to the next managing director and head coach, the full-time managing director, head coach, to decide on Anderson and Broad's future, and presumably everyone else's future, the players that have been left out. I mean, it sort of feels a bit developmental, experimental, the squad. But we'll see. I mean, if you take your chance, then if you do well in the test match, take your chance, and you presumably you'll stay in. You'll keep out those players that have been left out. It's up to them, I suppose, to try and fight their way back in.
One more question. Is there anybody that, Reece, that you sort of seen around the circuit, you think, they really deserve a chance? Someone who's not in that squad. Do you pick out anybody, a batter that you think, well, I really respect him?
Yeah. I'll be honest, and because I've asked people this question a lot as well, and I think the hardest thing about selection with the England Test side at the moment is, I think everyone's an expert and everyone said who shouldn't be playing, but I don't see many people saying who should be. I think that's the toughest job at the moment. Personally, I think I'd list the 5 best batsmen, and I'd say you guys have got to play. And that's what it frustrated me about Johnny not playing some of the test matches, because for me it's probably Root, Stokes and Bairstow for me that are the best red ball batters, and then to have one of them not playing, it's almost like that's the way I'd go about it. I'd just say you guys are the best 5 or 6 batters in the country right now. Just go and do your thing.
Right.
Well, let's hope they do. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
You taking questions now? Said COVID Noughts. Right.
Poor old COVID Noughts. Oh dear.
Oh dear. Grimace my. Let's roll.
Go to bed.
Evening, gents. Evening, Noughts. Hope you're feeling better soon. Evening, Reece. How you doing?
Hello. Very good. You okay?
Yeah, not bad, thanks. Just a quick one, really. Do you have any aspirations to play Test match cricket? Has there been any inkling, or have you had those discussions of have they said you need to play a certain number of 4-day games and then we can look, or is it a case of you just throw your name in the hat?
I do want to play Test cricket, absolutely, and it's why I think I played 8 4-day games last year, I think, and amongst playing. Well, I put my name forward for 8 4-day, but obviously being labelled around the white ball team, I think it's important that if I want to play red ball cricket, I have to show that I want to play Test cricket, which is to do the hard yards and put in game time, and to play all formats and play in the winter like I have done. It is a heavy workload. I don't think there's like a week that's gone by where I haven't bowled for the last 2 years. But now it's the first time that I'm having a break. I have to be, very strategic about when I play, and but obviously with the being selected in the Test team at the end goal, but obviously I have to play some red ball game. You can't just bowl well.
Was that one of the main reasons you switched teams to play, at the higher level against the better players? Do you have more chance to play for 4-day at the Oval against better players in that division, sort of thing?
I think so. I think it does hold more merit that if someone took 50 wickets in Division 1 and someone took 50 wickets in Division 2, I think it does hold more weight, and because you're going against better
standard.
But it's also playing on test grounds, because there's a thing in county cricket where you turn up to Surrey and well, having bowled on it, we play on some pretty decent wickets, and the scores will tell you that, because there was one game last year where we got 700 and so did
it was a high scoring.
very good batsman and almost even out a not as strong bowling attack. Okay. So then the game was just purely won on the toss. Whereas I think in Division 1 this year, now it's back to 2 divisions, I think it should be played the right way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I can see you getting into the England test, because to have a left arm coming in, we don't have many, and you're unevenly accurate, which I imagine is really frustrating for a batsman.
Possibly. I don't know. The way I see it is that if you stood at the top of your mark, if you have a red ball or a white ball, you should be trying to put pressure on the batsman, at least try and force an error.
So then, like, who do you actually mention to your coach at your club that you want to put your name in the hat, or is do you just go direct via the sort of assistant coach or whoever is I want to not be so labeled as a one day player, and actually say, I'm fit enough, I'm ready enough, I'm strong enough, I want to play test matches as well.
Yeah. Well, I did have a phone call before the selection or whenever it was, and they sort of did pose a question: would you be able to get through 3 test matches? But it totally wasn't on my radar. And after playing a winter of T20, I said the honest answer and said maybe it could be a bridge too far. But I mean, it's so short notice, and bowlers these days, you have to prepare so long before. So like I just said, when people say what's your next match, at the minute it's April the 7th, and you look at that and you work back and you think about how you prepare for it. But obviously, if I play county championship for Surrey on April the 7th, it's firstly to try and win the game for Surrey, but secondly it's to string a catalogue together that a selector looks at me and feels that there's a narrative there that I deserve a test cap.
Super, great, Reece. Thanks so much, mate.
Right. Right. Excellent series of questions, Rob. Nearly making your pitch to take over the whole program. Well done.
I'd say he's gone peak Paul Morley, hasn't he? There.
Right, Sam. Go ahead, Sam O'Brien.
Cheers. Thanks for jumping on, Reece. 2 quick fire ones from me. One, family aside, because I know there's a bit of talent floating around. Who were your idols growing up, whether they be other personal ones or famous ones, and maybe not necessarily even in cricket, just people who you might have. And then the second one, was there any other sports potentially that you tried your hand at, and do you ever wish you were born where I was from, because you would have been a pretty handy AFL player?
Yeah, well, actually, a few months ago when I turned up to Melbourne, we played some AFL with the Geelong Cats.
Yeah, that's my team. That was support. Unreal.
Yeah, no, it was a real good day. No, I'd be honest, as an Englishman, I didn't understand what was going on. I just stood there with a smile and looked like I was enjoying myself. But when it comes to sports idols, I quite like to look at other people and take things from things that I've read or things that I've heard or videos that you see on YouTube or whatever, and take something from everyone. I think the biggest one for me was Kobe Bryant. He had this incredible ruthlessness about everything. It was he never had an excuse for why he couldn't do anything, or with those lazy days where you don't feel like training. It was not a matter of would you like to. It's like, I'm going to, because I need to be the best. and there's different aspects for all kinds of people. There's Shaquille O'Neal had this like incredible enjoyment about everything he does, and then you look at, do you know what I mean? So you just see different people in the world of sport, and I think there's things that stand out amongst all of them, and I just like to nitpick different qualities from people.
Great. Just before you go, just for self-indulgence, do you remember the Geelong players that you mixed with when you were down in that part of the world?
I had no idea.
That's all right. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Right.
Did you play basketball as a kid much?
I didn't.
Oh.
I didn't too much. I was a football player, and then I did athletics, rugby. Typical private school. Just depended on the term what sport I played, to be honest. So,
Will, you've had your hand up for a long time. Will Gould, I think it's time to hear from Will.
Evening, Simons and Reece. How you doing?
all right, all good, thanks.
Good. I'm going to change my question a little bit. I'm going to take you back a bit to the World T20 in India. You played a very close game, I seem to remember, against South Africa, obviously. Could you just talk to me a little bit about that tournament, obviously, not much obviously about the final, obviously, because we all know what happened in that. But just talk to me about that game and what it was like to play in that game, because that was a very close game.
The one thing that I remember about that is that I was next in to bat, and I just remember thinking that if Moeen Ali doesn't get these runs, I don't think we will. So I was in next, and I was so nervous, and it was a very, very full Wankhede Stadium, and the wicket, every batsman was coming off saying that it was one of the best wickets they've ever batted on. They all compared it to one in Bangladesh that I can't remember, but it was another high scoring game. I remember Ruti played an unbelievable knock. He reverse swept Chris Morris's perfect Yorker for 6 over third man.
Yeah, I think he got about 60 odd in that game. I think I seem to remember, or maybe more.
I think he top scored. But I remember I bowled. I think I bowled 2 overs for 30.
Yeah.
About that, and I just remember Dale Steyn went for a few more. So then I thought, well, is it the end of the world? Like even he struggled. So well, I didn't play again after that. So
no.
so maybe it wasn't ideal, but no, I just remember it being a very, very good wicket, and I just remember because it's a World Cup, everyone was very, very flustered out there.
Yeah, and the crowd must have been like really, because obviously it's India. Obviously they would have been absolutely loving it. Yeah,
I mean they've got a very unique crowd. Australia, when I was there in the Big Bash, was a very passive crowd. But then in the Ashes, it wasn't. It was very. The Aussies are very in your face, and if you're bowling badly, they'll probably all tell you that you're bowling badly as well. But Indians just have this crazy noise, and it's and the new stadium in Ahmedabad when we played there last year, and I think we had something like 80,000 in a stadium that holds well over 100. It was the most deafening noise. Even we warmed up the day before, and they tried the speakers for the first time. I've never heard a noise like it. It was and it's deafening, and it's quite intimidating because you can't hear Morgs chat to you when he's 5 yards away. He has to come and stand right next to you just to get his point across.
And shout. Great, cool, cheers, thanks.
Great, thanks very much. Thanks very much, Will. Let's go to Ian Wigston.
Evening, Simons. Evening, Reece. Really enjoying the evening. If you knew at the start of your travels last year, this year, what you know now about how long that was going to be and how many different countries it was going to be, is there anything that you do differently in terms of preparing, in terms of keeping your mental health sort of on track?
If I knew I was going to the World Cup, I wouldn't have gone to Ibiza. But that's a good place to start. But I'll be honest, because I spent so much time on the sidelines, that when it comes to time like this being away, I think I'm very grounded in the sense that I'm very lucky to be doing what I'm doing, regardless of time away, regardless of missing anyone. Because I remember what it's like to be sat at home where you can't influence a game, or the journalists aren't bothered about what you've done today. So I think that's the key thing to remember, is that no matter how bad things get on the cricket field for me, I always think back and I think, well, at least I was able to be selected today, if that makes sense. And learning from that, when it comes to the death of a game, I'm a lot more calm, because I'm more realistic in the sense that you're going to come on the wrong side of results in T20, and you're going to win the game because you're bowling at the death, and you're going to be on the right side of the result, and you're going to be the hero. So if I'd have done anything differently, I don't think I would. I've looked back on this winter, and I think I've learned a lot. I was quite open to ideas from coaches, and I think I've come back a better player. So would I've done anything differently?
Has that made you a better? Just going to say, has that made you a better cricketer?
Yeah, I think working with Australian coaches, they're very different. I know there's a lot of talk at the minute about Australian coaches versus English coaches, but working with Australian coaches, I quite like it, because they're very tough, and they don't sugarcoat things. It's almost a school teacher. The hairdryer treatment comes out and things like that, which I quite like. It keeps you honest, and it keeps you on your toes, and I think it makes you do the right thing. But yeah, I wouldn't change anything to answer your question. I think I purposefully, before I went on the travels, I wanted to come back better for the experience, and I think I have. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Great. Great question, Ian. Well, we've got time for two more, and then we're going to go to the quiz. So who's it going to be, Martin or Paul? But let's go with Martin first.
Hi, Reece. Hi, Simon.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hi, Martin.
My question is almost going back to sort of the first question, when you talked about wanting to play Test cricket. So you played the 4-day games to get yourself in frame. Do you have chats with the sort of England management teams to say, look, I'd like to play Test cricket, what do I need to do? Or do they come to you, or how does it work? Or you just hope to do well in the 4-day games and then you get selected?
Yeah. I don't know. Going back to what I said earlier, I had a phone call a couple of days ago from various people in the England setup saying, would you be up to going to West Indies, or or do you think you'd need more time, or whatever? And you have a conversation, and I was just very, very honest, and I thought I didn't have it on my radar. I've pulled out of the Pakistan Super League to have a rest, so that I'm fresh for whatever cricket comes up in April, because it's going to be the last time to have a rest now until the T20 World Cup in October, which I want to be a part of. So I don't really know, but the only way I can sell it is, will I get a Test call up if I average 30, 33? Probably not. But I just try and build a catalogue that someone looks at my name and sees the body of work that I've achieved, and they can just say that is deserving of the opportunity that's arisen. Which, I don't know if I'm in the IPL auction on whenever it is. If I don't go there, I'm pretty content. I'd like to go, but I'm pretty content that I'm going to be at home, and actually I've got a chance to take a lot of wickets, and then that opens up another avenue. But in answering your question, I don't particularly know, purely because I haven't had the opportunity to play Test cricket. I don't know what it's like to get the call. I don't know, what happens before you board the flight and go on a Test tour.
I just wondering whether you had that sort of conversation with the manager and say, look, I really want to play Test cricket. What do I need to do?
Yeah. I think if you were to ask Alex Stewart, what do I want to do? I think he would tell you that I want to play Test cricket, because I've told him, but also because my actions, like I said, playing the County Championship for Surrey, it means that I want to play Test cricket, purely because I could go the white ball route and just play that. But that's not the end goal for me. The end goal would be playing all formats for England.
Yeah, good luck with that anyway. So thanks.
Thank you.
Owen Morgan was on this program about 3 weeks ago, Reece, and he said that, you know, England had some issues with their death bowling and so on, which is before you came back and played, obviously. And he also said he felt that batsmen advanced their game massively, but bowlers hadn't. And he was sort of challenging the bowlers to come up with something new and different to counter the massive sort of explosion of scores and big hitting and so on. Is there anything that, I mean, do you think about that? And is there anything that you think bowlers could do or you could do to combat this kind of surge of run making? Or do you think your scope is too limited, really? I actually stood up for the bowlers and I said, look, you know, you can't bowl anything outside leg stump. You can't bowl very wide outside off. You can't bowl high because it's a no ball. You know, you can't do anything, really. You can't bowl with a different arm because you've got to tell the umpire first. I mean, you know.
The game is so loaded towards batsmen. I think, well, rightly or wrongly, it's just the way it is. If a bowler does come up with an answer, or any bowlers come up with an answer, and they manage to keep the scores down, the only thing that happens is that rules are changed to load it more into the batsman's favour, to aid them to, you know, it's a constant game of people finding ways and counteracting different rules and power plays, and all these things have been brought in. Like, the one that I just experienced was bowling in the surge in the Big Bash, which is 2 overs any point after the 10th over. So the first power play was only 4 overs, but then the batting team could choose 2 overs from any moment from the 10th over to the 20th to have just the 2 men out again. And that was totally different to bowling, say, the 5th and 6th over up front, because you normally don't have one of the big hitters like a Pollard or a Russell or anyone like that. Normally you have a batsman still in, a guy that's reliant on his timing and such. And then bowling in the surge with the guys that are looking to clear the rope, not let alone clear the infield, all the men that you have in the circle, they're looking to clear the ropes. And it was a totally different challenge altogether. But I think bowlers nowadays, it is tough, and I think I think it's mental for more than anything, especially T20, because I think with the crowds you get flustered, and I've been there, and then you can also see it when it happens, and it's almost like a natural reaction, and I think you have to almost appreciate that. Like I said at the start, that I felt like, okay, I've done well. I've gone for under 30 for the last 5 T20s that I've played in. I'm due one, but then it's not negative thinking. It's you just being realistic. But then it's almost saying, how can I put this off? You know, I'm gonna go for 40 soon, but what can I do to not? You know, I think it just keeps you honest, and it keeps you alive and thinking. You don't rest on your laurels. You're constantly looking for a way to, I suppose, escape the dreaded 40 and 10 runs and over. But I just think bowlers, they do have it tough. However, I think you have to come up with your own thing. I don't think there's going to be a blanket thing for bowlers as a
delivery
whole.
or something. Yeah.
No.
It's quite interesting, actually. Someone was telling me about Lasith Malinga and how up country in Sri Lanka, when they play tennis ball cricket, they all bowl those low arms because that's the best way of getting the tennis ball to sort of skid off the artificial surface. I think they play on concrete or something, and they make it skid by dropping their arm. But you haven't really seen much of that in the professional game, apart from Malinga.
No, I saw a guy in Pakistan has a very similar action at the minute as well. I don't know if he's young or if he's been around a while, but I think like your own intricacy to your action can make you harder to hit, such as Bumrah. He has such a short run up and almost or Joffre's effortless, and it rushes you. I think that definitely would help. There's some guys that have a very quick arm, therefore a back of the hand slower ball is harder to pick up because you have such small time at the top of their action to see it. So I do think that actions do play a massive part.
Right, Paul's been waiting very patiently.
Sorry, Paul.
It's all right. Go on, Paul. Yeah, you're.
Hi, Reece. Hi, yeah.
Hi, Paul.
Hi, yeah. Just going back to the test match and 4-day thing. You've been so unlucky with the injuries over the years. Are you now confident that your strength is back fully and you'll be able to continue with the 4-day games going through? Hopefully, I'm a big believer that we need variety in our attack. We've been so samey so often over the years, and it'd be great for me if we could get a left armour in the team. And I would really hope that if you can keep your fitness up, that could be you. So, are you confident finally that you've got the strength back in your body to see yourself through and potentially get into that test team?
Yeah, I don't think the strength or the endurance from almost a playing side has been an issue. It's if anything, it's unfortunately for me, it's something that's almost impossible to work on, which is bone health. If you could go to the gym and improve your bone health, I promise you I'd have this very, very strong bones. But it's almost, you have to be lucky as a bowler. There's bowlers that have gone their whole career and not got injured and seem to be this absolute world beater that nothing can ever touch them on a pitch. But then there's bowlers that have finished careers just by bowling spells, or bowling balls that they've never been able to play again. I think lucky bodies plays a massive part in it. I don't think I'm ever out of the woods, and I think that's when it will get you, is that I don't think I'm ever out of the woods with injuries. I'll always say, touching on what I said earlier, my process is, and if I was to play Test cricket, my training would, or what I do before I had the chance to play in a test, would put me in the best place to get through the test match, but also perform in the test match. So I think I've got the strength and endurance, but I wouldn't say I'm never going to get injured again. It's a part and parcel of fast bowling and playing 12 months of the year now. So that's all I'd say about it, is that you're never out of the woods, and you just have to look after your body and do the right thing.
In a way, is it harder actually playing short format? Because if you're just bowling five over spells in county cricket and grooving, gliding to the wicket and bowling, and you're not necessarily overstretching yourself, but when you're under threat of being slogged for 4 sixes, you've got to get that Yorker right. You are almost straining every sinew to make sure you're putting your body under, although you're not bowling as many balls, maybe each individual ball, you're putting your body under more strain, are you?
Yeah, but also with the way that T20 goes, is that you play, so you travel and train on the same day, then you play the next day, then you fly to the next place, which you train. So then when you look at it over, say, a 7-day week, you've actually got on 3 flights. You've trained twice and you've played 3 games. So you actually on feet playing cricket is the same amount of days, but it's not obviously the time. But also in 4-day cricket, when a game's going to head for a draw, and you can almost go the other way. Not saying that you don't try, but you almost sense the spells, or sense the moments that are like, okay, this is a big one for the game. It's worth me going up here. But then also you've all got an eye on next week. You think to yourself, well, whether we win the toss and we bowl at Gloucester next week, which is in 2 days, and I'm trying to bowl, we've got a team following on, and I'm trying to bowl for the win here. It all just you just look at it, and I think in 4-day cricket you have almost a scope of, you obviously try it all the time, but you have a scope of upping it for important key phases of the game.
What's your diving catches on the boundary like?
Not bad.
Because if there's one way of extending boundaries, it's putting people like you on the boundary.
Yeah, we had the short boundary in the West Indies, and they said that you can go and stand in front of that because there's no one's going to be taking any twos, so you might as well put the tallest guy that's got the biggest range out there.
Did you get any?
I didn't, but I stopped a ball going for 4, and that in the game that we ended up winning up by 1 run. So I think, you know, that one moment from the game, and I think it was in like the penultimate over or the over before I bowled, and then I just remembered thinking what Collie said to me, and I was like, I love it when a plan comes together.
Good. Right. We're done, aren't we? Simon, are we? Is there nobody else with their hand up?
Question.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Time for the quiz, Jos.
You time for the quiz?
Yeah.
Is it time for the quiz?
Is it a cricket quiz?
It's a cricket quiz. Yeah,
it's about you.
It's a cricket quiz. It's called How Well Do You Know Yourself?
Oh, Jesus.
It starts with a bit of music. It's 10 questions, and you can't confer with anyone or anything. So no phoning your dad. If you get it right, you get this. He's got it! And if you get it wrong, you get a... Okay, and the leaderboard, we've had various rounds of this. This is the current leaderboard here. Sorry, just calling that up. So it's a bit of a Middlesex theme to this leaderboard, actually. Paul Farbrace with 9, Morgan 8, Compton 8, and Roland Butcher 7 last week.
Okay.
So you've got to beat 7 basically, and the worst of the lot was Alistair Cook a while ago, who only got 4.
Okay.
So you know that he's the absolute rock bottom.
Well, it's hard to know about so many amazing records that you have. He probably doesn't remember them all. Whereas
Stop
me,
making excuses before you stop making excuses before you've even started. All right, you mean because of Cook? I see what you mean.
Yeah, I was going to say I've only got probably 1 record or anything of note, so it should be easy to remember it.
Okay, right. Well, let's fire away anyway. Simon, do you want to start?
Yeah,
I sent you the questions, didn't I?
Yeah, you've got the questions. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Question number 1: who was your first class victim? Who was your first wicket in first class cricket?
Actually, that should be county cricket, by the way. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
In county cricket,
county championship.
Rob Key.
Who?
Rob Key.
Rocky who?
Rob Key. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. You said Rob. Sorry. Rob Key. You sure
I know
about
it was against
that?
Kent. I know it was against Kent.
Well, it wasn't. Well, it was against Kent. We'll give you one more chance because we're quite generous on this quiz. We'll give you one more chance.
Joe Denley.
He's got it. Done. At the second attempt. Very good. Okay. 1 out of 1. First international wicket. Question 2. First international wicket for England.
I think it was Mitch Marsh.
He's got it. Hold on. You sounded uncertain, but you got it right. 2 out of 2.
I knew. I didn't know if it was Sean or Mitch.
Yeah, you did seem uncertain. Anyway, 2 out of 2. Question number 3: who has a lower first class bowling average, you or your dad?
I reckon it's my dad. First class. Mine must be. I reckon my dad has played when the wickets did a bit more. I'll go. Is it me?
Your dad has a first-class bowling average of 27.64. You currently have a first-class bowling average of 26.61. Everyone's too modest in these quizzes.
I definitely don't bring that up enough.
You definitely don't. No. 2 out of 3.
Question 4. What is your highest score in all professional cricket, batting wise?
19.
He's got it! Against?
Can't remember, but I had a broken hand and I batted for a long time. And that's why it stuck with me.
Very good. Brave stuff. Okay.
3 out of 4. This to go level with Alistair Cook, our all-time low scorer. And you've only had 4 questions. Question number 5. Who has the lower T20 international economy rate? You or Chris Jordan?
Me?
He's got it!
It's very close. Chris Jordan, 8.65. You, 8.59. 4 out of 5.
Yes, well done. Question 6. How many sixes have you hit in your professional career?
Are you going to give a spread here, Yoz, between a certain number and a certain number? Or are you
Well,
gonna...
I think it's 3 because I trebled it at the big match. I think 3.
He's got it! Correct. Very good. 5 out of 6, was it?
5 out of 6. Going well. Question number 7. What injury did you sustain in the nets in 2009?
I was hitting the ear by Kevin Peterson, if to be more specific.
He's got it!
Yeah, 9 stitches and an ear injury in an ear cut after a KP drive in the nets in 2009. 6 out of 7, going really well.
How old were you there? You were only about 15 or something, were you?
I was old enough to be sent to the children's ward at 6'6".
Have you still got the scar?
Well, yeah, because the earlobe actually came up unattached itself from where it was attached to my face, and then it actually went down into the ear canal, which is quite tricky to tie up, to be honest.
Wow.
God, you have had your catalogue. You should have taken that as a sign, shouldn't you, before you started on a professional career? Right. Anyway, you got it right. So 7 out of 8.
6 out of 7.
Sorry, 6 out of 7. Right. Question 8. Which English left-arm fast bowler has taken the most Test wickets? And your dad says you used to know this. Let's see if you still know it. So which England bowler, left-arm fast bowler, has the all-time record for most Test wickets? Do you know it?
Yeah, I think it begins with L. But I remember because no one has taken 100 for England, and I always used to want to be the first. Oh yeah, haven't got a clue.
Yeah, he's taken 98. He's taken 98. You have to go. You have to go back. You have to go back in time a little bit to around about.
Let's test his
L.
Let's test his history knowledge.
No,
it was the other bowler that bowled with Harold Larwood. And no, it's gone.
Yeah, I no idea. No idea.
Bill Vose.
Bill Vose, 98 Test match wickets.
I'm almost inclined to give you half a mark for that because you said you knew you hadn't got 100, but
No, it's okay.
I think that's very generous, Jules.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, I won't.
So where are we then? 6 out of 8. 6 out of 8. Right. Question number 9. You're at Surrey at the moment. How many times have Surrey won the county championship? Is it 14, 16, or 19?
16.
It's 19.
Damn.
Done your own county out of a few championships there, Reece. Anyway, there we go. You'll know now.
Okay. 6 out of 9. Last question. What was the lasting piece of advice your dad gave you? What's the most important piece of advice your dad has given you to sort of sustain your career?
Isn't this subjective, Yoz?
Well, let's see what he says. It's a sort of fundamental.
Who is this according to? Is this according
philosophy?
Is this according to Don or not?
It's according to Don, yeah.
Right. According to Don. So according to Don, what was the lasting piece of advice he gave you?
Definitely wasn't anything nutritional. It would have been, probably would have been.
It just shows actually that people don't. I mean, I have this.
They don't listen to anything their dad says.
It doesn't exactly. They don't listen to anything their dad says. Yeah, it just goes. It goes straight over their heads.
We're wasting our breath, aren't we?
Is it the more, I don't know. Is it the more you practice, the luckier you get, or something? I have no idea.
I mean, I love that answer because it does show that, doesn't it? That
well, I know it was said at some point.
So sons don't listen to their fathers.
I'm going to give him a mark. I'm going to give him a mark for being honest and saying he never listened to his dad. I think he deserves a mark for that.
That came up along somewhere.
Well, what he said was that it was always have heart and never give up.
Okay.
And if you'd asked me that question, I would have said, my dad used to say, never bowl a no ball and always wear a proper cap. And I bowled a lot of no balls and always wore a sun hat. So I didn't listen either. Oh well. Listen, anyway, we'll give you 7. We'll give you 7 out of 10 for that.
Thank you.
Because you were honest and you got some good answers. So we'll give you 7. So you're level with Roland Butcher on that one.
Awesome.
Hold on. Not bad. Not bad. Right. We've overrun a little bit, but I think we're done actually. Simon, have you got any final?
No, that's great. That's great.
Thoughts?
Final thoughts. Well, I suppose more on the England squad next. So we're going to do a podcast later, aren't we, Yoz? And that will be coming out sometime tomorrow. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll discuss.
We've got Sam Billings next week. Not sure which day, Tuesday or Wednesday. He will know by then who picked him up in the IPL auction. Presumably somebody will. You'll know, Reece, who picked you up. Have you got any? Go on, give us one little. Who would you like to play for in the IPL? We won't hold you to it, but just give us a name.
Mumbai or Chennai would be cool.
Yeah. Okay. Chennai. That's a short boundary, and the seamers don't.
I haven't looked at the pitches or the wickets. So
it's a slow spinning pitch.
It's a slow shitty. Chennai.
Chennai. Yeah.
Mumbai would be all right. Bit of pace there.
Yeah, but again, it's quite small. That's
well, they're all small. Don't play for Delhi is my advice. That is that is a postage stamp.
Jesus. But I best just trot along in the championship then. Go to plan B.
No, you've got to play in the IPL once. You've got to do it. It'll be a life-changing experience. So good luck with the auction.
Awesome.
Hope you get a decent contract. You deserve it, actually. You deserve a bit of good fortune. So thank you very much for tonight.
Thank you, guys.
And enjoy Rome, apart from anything else.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I will.
All right.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks a lot.
All the best, Reece.
See you later.
Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.